Malamu go along Chine India ne ke male and the mandoni Panom top ke Australia waname by Jai join your wallet the manani Konkai ke Dr. Konkai. Welcome ke Nuer Community for Christ. Wale the manani Dr. Konkai Charamade Konkai Arami Lagor Bongne. La kona nen ba la media book the men gor shall do all kinds of work. Gor Addis Ababa University as a PhD candidate. Uh, Kajenbo, an entrepreneur, so a founder of a business. Me a talk mutually much me la computer training business. Kongai Merimedi, Chinerong Ike Pengmuber, members can Nuer Community for Christ. Thank you. O Chibenawala Kuburike can Nuer Community for Christ. Topic and right nega Quida while Christianity can economy. Economy got on Nuer de Jolly Chiang Latke Chiang Yaga. I think like Shalke Quilkan can Nuer no wall. Again, when I write a quid, when I write a quillat, can a Bible. Can Mazdan can name my quack over a latcon, go again, who be a mind in Liankane Wale, could be a forum member to a Nuer Community for Christ, Baja War, Chene form and pay me, key group me, could buy joke and Nuer, and we would talk be a lot, be Christianity, king of Christian, be a defend, Kabe Nathan qua criticism qua jalat ka Christianity be ke respond lo bina be can lo je top thin one me so bene no na do Christianity angap mugwa ka society no are so Mr. Kai welcome to show they take go ri ro lat ne te liang kon lene ka wo jinga mela ledi ken wo why she Nuer for Nuer Community for Christ here join can a little background ka tai she jina Christian ge so welcome.
Yeah, go along, brother Panom top. She like that as go George, Kanwar Community for Christ. Thank for introduction. I believe we are ko biraro je kumatot ke kwil kan ka jen discussion dan me so de jomni ji gure ko jen tuk discussion ni na Kabaga one back discuss as we go forward. But today topic, I think cha go along, brother Fanom, and then Kenyam, Kenyan doctor. This is something I've been trying to tell people. No, got an PhD candidate. Want to go a PhD in academic then which was in doctor. Yeah, but that's fine. Push to toward it toward finishing of it. I do believe Nathan like all that or let can lodge Mugwa. One of the things which I learn about community that know me take a melody community like ya come ke title me ke you deserve chan ken in it. So I take it as a only redactor for now. Yeah, so and Konkai. Yeah, la raja kui lat gweja society dan me and no barodo ger go lat ban mentality dan ban ger kalat. And actually, I write a book about it, and mention with Jin Panom who do all kind of work. Book me sure ko then a lot de al then a lot do kono to kalat tin and they are going to then up the continues to white collar job. Yeah, so how can you just grow collect still a white collar job? Michiladium Chitoko, I see the tendency on it one la talk position method branda dong, then I don't like that. So I want us to grow to leadership position within white collar job, whether a politics, whether NGO, whether entrepreneurship, whether you have to just grow. Guru Charaj Bo about Rubicon mentality and change, and I somehow talk about Christianity in a way me gag me prosperity gospel gospel mala wadana myth kada na touch the latke this kind of thing chagala book so around around NGO and human trend chalat with different organization an entrepreneur as Panom mentioned it so Michal much chef northern also nas take digital skills to like in demand today. So Guara ka Addis Ababa University, the PhD candidate could put security and development, talk candidacy at this stage. Yeah, then introduction about myself and Toromo. Naga nas Christian for Christ, ko nas Christian for Christ, something me news con o Christianity, Christianity and a me. This is something that nas Christian for Christ trying to do. So Christianity is part of our culture, I would say. But again, to come up with different thing to dare defame. So what North Christian for Christ is trying to do, they know, North Christian, Christianity is not for lazy people. It's not for illiterate people. It's not for native good man. It's not, for native, Jack the Alton point Christianity. That's what exactly this community is trying to do, and I really want to be part of it because of that reason. So about me as a Christian, uh, that let you as a connoisseur rudan up kerloko to mar a Christian, and then chako end up like Christian che adopted from the beginning like a tot pres Presbyterian. So kona cholo Presbyterian cha laktin no kaya, and then I continues to practice Christianity in that regard. But it take a time, I realize know that something wrong. Like it was not changing me. Okay, it was not like adding something to me. Mecha ben Georgie dan what for met la tung la ka tie. Michi jin met in certain essentially like jin rebel like kajrar kamen la ngeze. Yeah, that's where I find myself in. So it was me cholo ko pel loko totally. Try chiang da. Was me chet year or more. Kokore take a lot me chali church of God. Me chanen jikke who can practice in a way me knock loideja. Like chati jak cha guru bakalat mana di alten let dol ke hiro din waitin. Then chuan nang kata mo kwa ke steady. Kwa ke steady. Yes tam chua gwe neti lot ke no de post de pal. Maybe cha chuan ro ko but me cha adopt no wal take nas within Christianity to palkos ka gwada. Why don't I just join them? So chua ro de friend and then I join. So when around Church of God, I think for more than 10 years. At a time, chua ben jeg chalet kumugwa. Number one and chalet kaga ring wadada. Chau ala at that time ni makanu records. Then what michit ke ngwan tung kokien to lot everything. But then chay jaku luag me chay ben jaku chafo case. Katinde lat ke quit kadet dia go like I become a good student. Dual goraka. A very excellent student. Ko kopo ke dual goraka chan gor ke guar because of doctorate in Tendormo. I become a good student. Yeah, I become a good citizen, I would say. Jack and lot ke charo waiting and check career. Chwa to ber herle age like chwa let ke kuma. Chwa let ke NGO no ngode ke. I believe again can value tin jagan luago mo. One of the things me chwa wajak re dak re te ke da chiang yi ka. Okay, so I really need to grow in faith, and I need to be a Christian. Mijak kono kos mite ke direct relation kono kos te chio wana na jia de ngote tet karoada. That's when now I made a decision and ba align with another church milana more. This time talk Michal Abad Yeshua Messianic congregation. Chio ijek pabeteri me work Church of God. Chio jek Church of God me work Messianic Yeshua congregation, no? But chajek kwa grow in a different level. Ya la gwada be grow take mugura ka jen grow samoni. To me chajen ka perpetere chang me cha nge chajek guru grows me ganga ka jek to chi Church of God let ka no mo. Ngi ken tato along. To me chajen then me cha ben grow in a way maganga ka jek cha ben guru no guru grows of spiritual maturity. and then Chalban Jaka Messianic. Ken to dialog or look dialog, I believe, part of my journey, Lara Nate in Chiang Yatin Lara Cataloa along, I believe, Chicana Jack a better person. No more quite a lot go Nate on one larger Woodian to be a Christian, worker without rationality. Okay, irrational, like they do it without logic. But I don't think that's true. Like for myself, to me, kan luak meda jaka udah ngot ko sediga kap makana jak da ramatal ko mawala like da chien dia ko mawala. So it was my reason and luak mo bajak it make me a better person. But there would be an even time me chaben jagan dama diga lo kap ko ada like why do I need to go to church? Okay, chata ki go run one then I would find myself, well, look, why don't I just leave the church? But it get along a falcarada. So that was what exactly Church of God was teaching me. They lock was depel, they knew carada, chandy jackson and della, they're a gang carada, chijan. Again, one 81 galania. But then Chabe realized and Chijalot Christianity. Lord Christianity, oh, but you connect, cause do. Be ngwane to chide long karo other human be jelo ka be yechu be jelo ka ko ramatel ko I'm telling you for the fact brother no embarrassment to one they take na me la biane na polo mi rami de di go ram di ka di lot la ga pena ka lebel to de le go ka ku jo ngok okay no more etil mutual spiritual compass. We are a spiritual being as a human, and we need a spiritual compass, and that's why not Christianity along jayo quote the spiritual compass da ka gang da ka yenda ka take a better home micheral ka kwida and that message I really want to tell everyone and it's better for you to be a Christian than living without Christian. No more jana de lat ka kwida as an individual can my Christian face. Thank you for now.
Thank you, Brother Kai. Tin Gordon Chilat. Is humbling ko native wala we came chiran kop jangai. Ke chiran gwa long but sorry. We chiran gwa long the ran kop job ben pin but she talk on a ko take an native one to see got a PhD ni she got gwa long lo chiran yin win mon to changai. You take example got it if I were wampat, one of those guy Christian midi kajan and we no wampan na tonga so and ngay gora cheji jaku boko be wo so I'm glad it would take a team Christianity go the community go and aid chat keje she lada lady go kuna chum go banalet mo go along kajan kwai le chola ke topic me wale con con miam ke gwa mi chet ke run dang ro te chua ke run dang ro by now and time she con duonen me je ro de community ga no re te ga ne di je ke rodien de kwa ngaf christian de kwa je challenge thanken take ke serious allegation e ke going to chicken ga going to christianity ga lat ke ne christianity jen kelen jang nuer ko bi ke chu ya wale ke te ga ten bidi ke chwen nuere so kel ka go ni ten lat ke awa christianity kana bible ni kana ko china bilet ka dong da jen major reason ke reason di ni jen me jang nuer ko bi ka chan an kon ji se ko rai ke kwi shu ne ti especially ka ken individual ti de la claim de la ka make la ka la de we christianity ni jana ko china belet che con position and che con clarify mende kula ti ki jida wo ngum da la respond ke lo jindi kam ne ti ngaf ke claim ne ti cha ke na to christianity depend na lot
A thing me go, ka thing me, I believe con tam down di con nang ka je ka social media, and I believe to need one but to joke con and the con appel, the courage mother con appel to con Christian the defend, la ne tene la right bo tien ko tien de depend ko me di me cha de depend me tan tong me and all this. So, but we still have a reason to defend Christianity. Ke depend God in a way me ka kon chi could defend ko per se ku kon clarify ne Christian values and Christian teaching. The more work I taken more Kenyam de lare a flawed logic, and like me, flawed logic, a flawed logic. Ilari Christianity is non conchano, condor Michal Nuer, very flawed, because an obi claim more. A hasty generalization, by the way. An obi claim more be kulalar. We take mock to be considered. Okay, we take a reason. Reason number one, reason number two. Chientame. Kenya men alare many reason many can a scientific ground. Okay, lene scientific answer as a number one. Go bilare na major nung na mayo. You are talking about claiming of causation. These causes. Now, Kenya mede kana la rene eto ka dio je chige fail sen kan kana lat ka chikana balat o deran da sai dalat deran da sai dalat nre ka chana bentenen tama no bana lar na me jen tuong na meyo. It has to go with scientific evidence that ka data na di collect data di collect nga di collect ne tin ngat ka kut tin Christian kana ne tin chima Christian and then di ka collect the state has D&D check like an riang long. That's the question you want to answer. Riang ni Christian long, while riang na itin telokot. So Mia Gambel, for example, ko concern dan di te ka Gambel and chikon di alternative. Di bana Gambel, di ne to kuro to pal along di ka check, can randomly. Di ne to kuro koki na di ka check. Ti kwikot ki chukot ki pala kot Christianity ma ko Bible na me chi la li ka shek and then they go compare kan ana te ka try ne to kake kan ana te tu ne to ka kan ana chi gor to longa ka gor one of the thing bo min also they chande watch okay kan ana te ka better life okay better health outcome we go compare Michi kulo jage neitin pal kay chan compared to neitin chipal ke neitin chipal ke chima krisin chikan fal I mean take a yotung one take a young mudit take a kwak to one Michi kulo jage no that's now grown kiji maybe a large well Christianity take a issue with poverty like neiti chukot fal rianka neiti palkut kechan di kulo mek but panom no makana la deken kichaba malat te gwesti chao this kind of question chago on la deke but chowe na below tele conclusion mi jeke mogwa so ram chira mo raije chira ke sign okay ko raije ngu chira ke sign ko chiko no gurbu na ke feeling and emotion there to make a generalization because that's what I'm saying like you feel and quite a feel o neti tikena ay quite a feel o ko ran ko ba fala long ke ta ndaro ijenan nek bo daga okay we're commandong we're mobility and then we contact migration medit like many people have gone to west kanakon tungwan and that's because of situation in the corner kujamaya I don't want to push to US, Australia, Canada, UK, and the European Union countries. So mobility mo mendi yola jane. Christianity mi chana ja lazy, lo chana ja ko lo kalat. Christianity nti waka Australia kudu panom. And I chicken lo let run. Ko chaka ja ko mentality enta lazy. Therefore mi chicken ka Australia yo a changaran cha wo let run. Could that's the logic. Okay. Ne ideal kinti makula Christian
Tag bill, the legend they have to pay their bills, they're like a choice.
You see that? You see that? So me trano gwad metalatin the real work yatin and me gwad me kwaji demand ko billet you still work and you still go to church on Sunday or Saturday. And that's what we are seeing. Kuna de la falon tama kalo kalan mandan kurun wam kana pan ke fan ke. So I think this would be another criteria Madara use go mentality which I hear go and terminate a lot can basically a Christian doctrine or Christian Bible janang chi chualet to ramicha ngi chi leda take mi chala cup sir be mala latke a conversation cup sir be a knowledge attitude practice to mi cha widu cha yar picha door te mi chi widu yar man but go be knowledge do be jack about this one which Bible would yar the knowledge about work about China the Christian be jack to knowledge ko kon daro murai kon Christian to de lara Christian to dit can that kon knowledge about well of work kon dia let kon ndama okay kon dia gor kon ndama attitude and way about work rami cha wudi cha yar about work da lat bi jala we chetan che de chang nong ne jalo mi che dit kram mi tiek mi chen let da dia we ram cha che je ga jalo so attitude and te ka lar ndama ka practice dan nyod ngwe ko kon let du no ni chang so ne to ti chu war to the knowledge then about the work the attitude then about the work the practice then about the work that jack like cha ka de long e de ger ilade but and ke that is like insult Christianity and more and which is not ja ko china de leke akwa pe ke karoto akwa pe ke scientific research and de lot and da ku nyo do ne de leke ki chikelet akwa pe about 19 chi wo rulle to de mal che ka fet ne to ladien wedi ki lok ladien wedi ku Christian to mi cha ko to da ot panom then aku nyo do pitch Christianity a part of the thing man use not a lot re Nuer. So and as a Christian kana manen re luak ich ngai kana cha jal ke Christian denomination di dang diok okay so kana manen ten la ke ko Protestant dial no chwalet kana manen okay and then ne tingi na lade kan tenen ka nen pastor tingi lade major ben ka Sabbatarian denominations okay Sabbatarian denomination miti ka Adventist for example ngi ci jogor go ko la within some time ko ke yene re kelro chango ni jin ke David we go win di ka ngai di tabas di aten Metaka University for example apal ke ji sabas seventh day church of God I mean Adventist so ngaja ji sabas dia lanu ngi kanas kalat and in fact mi chabin dido chiana ram advocate about the work kan kilim no diala tan la tay ichina ich Christian ich kan la kan la ta ram chiro no jeji Christian ke lizne I am among the first people teach book God about the work can Christian I was not reacting to someone malaro in Ashlet I was not reacting mi ben re lo aide can something michalat about the years kan nyeje re lo ko then to ko lo aide ba gor la book like that's so crazy I would say back to you for now
Kon dia le kon sign kon gor. Remember me ta ke kla well kill the scientific experiment me cha ngi kana cha we scientific experiment be not more ke question kon a lot of Christianity jan no bother in no more. And then brought more hypothesis. Hypothesis is a guess, the guessing that you're making, and then you carry out an experiment, be a test, and then you see the result, and then be result could be published again. So and meant for Chabok ngen michet ke jeno. I believe she nyora go will be a emotion. Go and teme jiran me ne
yep
to one to walk in. The first thing that you do la gurje will be do be bell anything with here ji. Me logo be reality be face yourself. Don't di belle more di belle good di belle community di ro mo ke do belle. And I think tangwa me ko nange lue Christianity ke lue Christianity parodian ga society ka wang up Christianity mere brother is easy ba na ba kebel but it guru ba audience dan ba ke come focus Bible ko in Christianity and then you book here God right book your God tame me cha kwen ka kana wala let it in ja gore book chen da bel tomorrow what's wrong with you kong chi book here God come which pen a lado they jogo reason a pen they jo me pen lado kini book kini ten ja gore de kini kala let so here one book but a gram and kwen book I mean the Bible one of she bong la you are cam ni ji ye ko be you cap ko bom be o nang wal right? Ye ko te jibe go resume, ye ko te jibe go degree, ye ko te jibe lat ke reality. It doesn't do that. But it will be neither be informed. Better than yam ka Bible, a lap ka Bible. Cha go ni tuka ko nyal kene pinchak. Alo talk ja ka lat Bible. Michi la waka page jog den. Really no good book a page jog den ka Bible ka new 22. I chak nyal kene pin me pai chak. Alo Bible talk ya lat ka good ka lat. Alo tell a melina tell a mel there are like it doesn't matter where you open it. Go to a lebe ka took the kid lebe ka good a be jeng no latin. A time I discover a sign to ran me lene jen la lay let it in number of chang near point la me let it can lay do chet me la let ka moller can a joke wrong me let it in number of damn mal you ga pet but me chi moy ke chang ke la long then but take a peg a bear and then mean we take the bagwa ka be let ka lay for a long time same thing manager an bo go to nindang bakel belet keke to do something mala meaningful and then belong about on ini we take be cool enjoy so no more si ko la na thousands and thousands of years I tell a sign is ben but me to ko taran che chap me nyam me cha kamran obran belet katuk cha wa sure over well the charan che rame che chap sure kan sure kun re ka ko beleli be pur ka be yo por ka ka ne yob de ngai kon me la to me jira me chi pur me kwen pin a la de na mo tele me go nyu den so purpose e chap ran ka je literally o belet and then kel ke lu dang wel me chu ko tia go ro ba do be gor pin me le na che da la kon bai bo gui kon wei ke riet en gor pop ka bat ko te ti cha gor ka ya de ten jwal ke lu dang wel re lu ne dang wel ngu de berejen ke lu dial ngut ke kwilat ngut chang long Tana la gana kwen wo belong about ni ban ngut to gene wa nin dang ba kel lene ajen ngut nyam na mo chaklet ku dial ten baro dien bu ko long alo to ge galat belong ko le ben kor chi long ke nyam bu ko le so nin ba kel lene belet ku dial chak ten uh dung mi chi ku le let what if you don't work in nang ba kel well that means chi chang long chi da go ko chang long ka ya la ke ku nyon ne real ye ko ku la ne mi cha le de ong go chang long ga jamo so mi chi wan yang bare rai ko bo ko cha kon chap cha kon moi ka ability cha kon moi ka long ko ban let la mi chi wa ka nyok le ngon ni chu ka badak ka ba wal badak te mi cha latin cha we tiem me ko nyal ko dun min kam ye bom mental capacity da kon ke physical strength be ka ko ha je cha wu ni kana man be je ke wu ni cha ka chap ni ka bom point dia na wu cha ka chap ka ni de belat who go relate ka kan ka dor te dia to ke ti chu kop ka kamra na lamu so an allegation and make li we bible e pen na lat la gwe je chere men che la de really a mischaracterization lo ku la ni shuran jor ke la ne religion jor American bible can have when me bible che pick up be nyo de clearly no tell me lo kalat so I want us to dive deep into that part of key but not at all key part of more Bible. And I mean con this is my third question. Bible jen ko lat ko je promote di part mo to cha mention can Christianity can laziness like what sort of verses there con go queen or a Bible latin there con chum no there con get to jog na put you actually they are let as a human being ban wa ji there
Good. Yeah, I think Chukon Bible bijak me ngi laziness. Chukon Bible kel bijak me ngi laziness. The funny thing in the chat GPT logi ko na it one je can chat GPT thanks to technology. La we get chat GPT be jogo men gur Bible me ngi laziness. To be kamji ko chat GPT a machine learning. And by the way,
mm.
Queen has thousand letter okay, a machine learning to
Mm.
LLM, okay, large language models. To come
Mm.
everything on go. Milaka ibo come ye. Miji you come Bible about laziness, be Bible be uno. Miji ni jogi Bible chinguno chi about laziness. They jogo so reach at and then chak in your rajaname. Let me try it again. Manu day jogo no tell Bible. Me joke nas about laziness. But Nathan one jekin tin kam ke a chat GPT la fek. Who can look they are dealing with people who actually read the Bible. Okay, so this is the Bible. I still read it today. Like, if you come up with Bible, that challenge the authority of the Scripture itself, I read it, and there are many people who read cover to cover. The lie I talk from Tuchago to New John will be not one time, not two time, even three time. Okay, so they read it and they understand it in a way. Me, whatever you come up with, it's either makanjilo or chayadol. Me can react which is stupidity channel. And then why do I talk with fool? Kami chajilo chaji which that something me confusing and going about clarify. I have to be bold on that. But Bible cover to cover, church about laziness. Ram Nyaman Melkoth, very friend of God, which Abraham. Abraham rich, state Adam, a very rich person. Take a lot one, take a one, take a different types of lay. And in fact, take a moon doing that. Measure Gorba work be moon can and you could go lower roll me. Bender can I struggle or the moon there cock moon could you roll it on the Machako yo. Cognizant. Manimul Aquala want to Israel, Dungi user and all this. So Ben Chaji Canon, Chimaji Palestine, Cheduna Cockyo, and then legally yours, Michi Cockyo. Aquala want to could the Jogana Jan moon and tail Majamuna and all this. No, one on in Jacoyo. Landa Michi Jan Joka had it. Kachang no legally Cocomoon had it. Chang Jiran, Jirana Australia, Chibenka had it. Chak permitted at that year and other an Australia cock moon card is dundu. But Chida cock metal long moon card you need to have at least 5 to 10 million bir. So Abraham a rich person, Chakok moon, and then it become legally his land. He did this because he is rich. So to his grave, one meliwa can quote can a gak a young Abraham. Okay. Mi jini wi ka me kod madong mi shet ke wuri chale job ke iyop a guy me ber rijalong na ka bible chamen chine kwich tin la kwich am or kwich we that wa one of the rich person that exists riang along te ga molo to one te ga op to one te ga kak to one te na ga dor gan ke te ga family medit very rich person I chẳng me kwa ka ber yaran ne wa chu ko luin ke je rep rodian go to one chú ta hok ko kien nyok chú ta gar ko kien nyok chú ta lat ko kien nyok ko kor ko mi shi ko loss kan ko kan apple this guy a man cosmetic but you can continue to Joseph me cho ke Egypt don't you know prime minister garmuku Egypt kujaran prime minister the rich one of the rich guy talk about Daniel me cho ka Babylon take a skill to go come to use ka Babylon we acquire very rich person mi jinu ku kam gor ken ji bible ka wana ka kings take a quarter to chiro some kings to chiro kel ko the meneliadian but they are really very rich people like David I don't think chukot man ga ki muriang ji except that take some bible best la can cut out the contact and I think because you obedient but again bible teach about what tin chi mention mandan de mane mi cha lat ke Genesis me shi wut barar kan check dare ka ke den ka der ko the jo ba ko puro nama the only different types of thing about work and be alan them wo beledun ko fan it did not mean that we met kare ka ke den chi let ken but le den japan o kan ko lat e let ken kan jakka border some okay men kul men chin mandan no cha jo por real gre ka ka ida na ka yob ka tiedele and then kwa ka name and all this was mental and physical labor mi jini guji ko lady al mention you have to have a brain that you use Okay, con it reg den tam use con brain ko let con ke let ngit ka gor can brain chijen a lot, and it does very difficult. Cha kama dem no mo ka cha jobo, you just have to also take care of the garden a lot bo no mo. So let her out ko la kam ram kel chente ko ila jo go pur ka ber la na ka ngara ka hospital. How difficult this could be, like ber pur garun wang bu pur yo tiang ki ka war won ni la dol wal ci mu kula la ri ondam. I think ri wo ko cha mo lan mi je golong ka je ne kama dem. So me che tere ka ki den lede en ko bol lede ka wal lede man wale kana lot kana pel. So on ko lede ye shula yo, by the way, no ko lede man wale ko lai dia ko ki chi ko me na tabat se de letin no lede man wale ko mi ko mi jen fel la dem do kon di almon ko de yi me da ko caption chi oxygen te de let is work. So me chino moteno ke jigol adam let ke jo wich ke iden. So she let them continues mawal everything in the record the Bible are about work. Mi jiram la parve la ja kwen la right felle chiram mi philosophy of work dealing no. Okay, philosophy of work. You know, a pel had tidi alten lade ni je kono longo you don't be lazy. Mi wujin lazy bi chan be jamam. Mi churo lel ke chan kele wangda more. Ramal ni ne ka nuare la ngai ke garame ba predict ba chan. Ejen ku kurai pele jalat kara la wa wang na amor ko run wang chan be ben geje cher ke nyach. Okay, and that something me si Bible de ko ke Bible it take a problem with work, and it's true. Panom ala Bible che e chan ku ni ke chi afalai che jibaker, and that's true with education. Ta pele jokon dol gor ga ndam all the information tin jokon dol gor ga ndam. Then you see that chicken conquer man kwala lar ka dor icha wuje gor. So chicken agar. So you can still be stupid. You have qualification to it. Kacha ger. Ngudi jin jira metar kaja. Okay. It because something has to come from your heart. Ajan ta Bible ka. Chang yen boko cha gor chana intel de nuer di ala de ger kaja. Ko ngai je nuer they are nuer ke human. So they will take something they lack and they leave it how as it is. And the funny thing, like in work in kujin kule jiang ni jen kan la de book. Hey, to get maming something me cha promote do all kind of work. Then mi cha ram mi chi kram de la dam mi cha la ten ba we book and cha goro kong kayo do all kind of work. So this tell me that people are not even reading. Okay. So then maybe rajiruni kong kai kana na ger about the work. It's your problem. It's not about book and Jagoro Konkai. It's not about Konkai. It's about your reading problem. Jan ha Bible kapanom. La Bible mukweni kache jeger. It's your problem. It's not a Bible. It's not about a Bible. Yeah. Jan de no.
Thank you. Cái point được gọi long I so pause me cha lele page got a GCI chawa guy. I know this. I know this guy will do this. Go and do all kinds of work. I think the brother maybe don't bear do all kinds of legal work and then don't again about but common sense and it's a liu there. Go to the other point to go. I wanted to just read some verses. Right Pele. Right Pele is a good book. Me go to be Bible be challenge. Ramagore. It was one of the hard working people. Solomon. With the Ramarian Bible. Me Lena Karyang is the man. Me go nije. So jana me jalat ke right Pele shoga bakil bakil waga well kill. Jani jin lo dual ke lazy person. Jana working it. Jana we do up and take a care talaga bo kia ruwe kia kwa la ken me dia na la ken ka me ka dol ken ne ka gwan ngel abu kuta chada amene ne lo jin dual bro je jin ni ne cái chuyện we hay yo ka tot ka nien amor wang da ma along chada je ne ka min te nin je ne bi chan ben ka je chet ka kuel me ta ka mach. Okay, I like children with a my me ben cái gì cái gì ở đó nó mà bạn deck today. Sao vậy dân ta làm mi nông nô bạn lazy. Cái gì? Go ram bị gì bao cô cả bom chả có là chiran gur winning ye ta amala ka ko bom go bi ko ne don so an boga me kan nga je da ran gwana accuse e je ne ko lazy ne zo ko je promote ke chapter 10 ke sugar well ke bas ngwan ke die chan me latin chawa ka dual point no nga chan kalan medit no nga yang jana gan murul bel ka me pele ka dung do gan mala ni ne jen ka gwan ngir bel no nga gwan puch I don't know what could be clearer than that. That is so clear. Hard work take a meaning with it. Sugar where our cabas well kill. Chawan amel led moonde. Wabba take a meeting one. Can amel not talk like not wine a bang. What a mengaje. So amela tamila ways in it just talking and talking. Tell him be log road, tell him long nego kin. The third community abroad, the third. Sure a Bible, eh? Sure Bible. Lara je nyuan chi kabo. Right palisho well joke about well bang one. Right palisho ka actually sure where about well kill. I think I missed that one. Sure where about well kill. Okay, chikono queen. Shuka well joke about one. Cha same thing cha je cha la ten one me cha wara me dual tele me je ka munde alo di te mun te me you can actually have a land mun me di put cha wara me le ra me dual tele me je ka munde ka mun ra me le wa je ga yang ten so ante me di te ka resource bo but ka resource to me chi ka ti de go chi ka let into work tele me di je ten da kan bat kan dia chi ante me ne ga mi tane ke yo we ma bat kwin ne da ne ngul lat ke yang ne ne kwam de dia che te ke yo de ku de ka afrika ba ga ja ga ji sa ling no je ne ma to ba ga ja kwa me ba ko la ga ji yo mu chan ga mo ke wo te le me la de ke yo ka ya ra ne ga ba ka ka na ma re ko re le te ba da de ma ko re le ka title da man dan cha wa la dial je ka do thin ka right bang wa no ne chan na me ja lo da man dan le dial je ka do thin I chẳng này dual có ra người tên là a preparation ka quy lát real nó rồi đôi cái quy lát bị bên lát chẳng chỉ bên lát là hòa lệ nó bị lát ta có cú go rồi bị skill bị learn a skill là mò sure cái gì thì go là cái lát a part of lát so mấy chỉ giờ go bên lát là ni phải nhà lát thôi chú lim nu it bit guam perfect time bên em bắt đầu có là lát is just being alive vậy lọt cái mò as long te yom ba wum do you actually need to work right felicio ko wal badak ka ba bangwan tawara am point dual why cheta karam nang na okay I think this is extreme which work with it ram point dual lazy person why cheta karam nang na because the contribution to the society right because I take new testament they ba mi ala paul ka timothy mi am choga die ka ba jandara with ba jandara badak I believe jene rami chi dier ba badak jene rami chi dier ke ne ite la jitie ke de ke je goale wara mo point de wa jeng ne jen rami chi ngam ne jen wa chang ngap che jai so da me di chua di chu di ke ni chiang ke je lazy chi let ke kui family ga du wa chi jin christian simple and square you can break through your mete go re comment ku ma you can interrupt that's okay
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
right pele 21 Kabas 5 cha na me cha latin book is a beautiful book tiang a lot of things Kabas 5 cha wa chara me take a pelo I pin no ngotong wan kara me pet chera no chan so na me la de ke careful planning me guru be yang me go be je ke o be do be je re la do wa go careful planning and then me đi chú dân đồ anh go là walk western world bắt đầu giờ đồ tên thì cái đấy cũng là đồ mà có bị scam vì chú rồi yêu thì khi này đi ala thì walk western world cái pet gone chỉ yêu cái đi ăn chỉ cái bạc á thì làm mà có drunk rồi bây giờ ở mấy cái này deal này là cái bắt đầu giờ cái đang này chứ bắt đầu to và bị cái gì giả cụ bị pan you gonna fall chứ đang là to khi bị dân đi chọn so the some of the verse the chala ka right pele the last chapter ga jan boga me cha wa cha ko la chia ka dan that woman industrious woman and chia ka la dan men ta ka planning ne dia la le ka kwi doare le the business la we need to go ko ro no kwak to go le the ngwak chang de is a skilled person le the ngwak te ba kok ko ba do be ko le jekten hello all of these things tell a sure Bible when you do Isran Ishadel. I can go on and on. Take a bond on one along to teacher right on this topic. Chị Toloman cho ai cái dân nghi và cho qua Latin chỉ có the kami and we có enjoy lot more dân này đùa chị thấy chị chơi go bia là dân là nè cả long bố mà được kể liệu okay cô qua cái việc thế nào tức là lăn boy chơi tình the time bị lết cái dân nào dân time thì thế cái mày cháu ơi sure bo khen pal cái quil cô biết cái lết cái thế kiện cô bà này có khen mà lên bà cái lúa cả là đầm mò wa gwa nu to be door ko kan ne door so mu ye let be take a door me kamane ko ken chi jin bi anyon Thessalonica la de jabo wu ti Paul jawa chaka yengi ka lat amel logo be lada a chimith right ngabba cha lat bo ngam me let bo ngam me telat walia so all these verses when the alti tell a door me di check me nyo do ishina de let on the contrary look and laziness then comment there to maybe brief comment there a lot before I can kind of move on next stop next point.
No, I think she let along Panom. Bible is full of verses. Still lot to Nazareth. Let's net jack. Not only lot karod. Let's serve. Let invest. You know, Bible dialam bijak and drama. Ngikan aga financial literacy. Yeah, ngikan kono financial literacy, and it's like mental arawan. Te ramada garantama ka finance, ka accounting. Ka gor one ka degree, ka one ka master, and it's still full. You are like wondering. Mutual. Karan to gori point yun. La gori point la kena gori point yun ka they still you know fur. Kathing na nairi na ito. Take one of generalization which prime minister one of prime minister lat and chan liang ke economist la chan advice ni kian ling ko ken ke better for so choral medito long ke economic associations garama che proportion che kwet na kwet and all this yeah so understanding our understanding ko chigori economic ke chigori finance chigori accounting ram chigori you can be rich okay but we want to learn no we want to learn no chaladi antama ko chayo chagor ke changi ni yo chakaling and then I become rich. That is information. You are just receiving information. Okay. And we more than information, rather. Information is everywhere. You look for one thing and you get it easily. Especially with this artificial intelligence, information is at a tip of your hand. So they just but does this information lead to knowledge? And does this knowledge lead to prosperity? This is a question. So information Jatin, but information for it to lead to the knowledge, it is another thing completely different. Bible, like Benedict Jokwen, talks about work, talks about hard work. Right about laziness apple keje, na chi anywan. Right about di yori ketit, di katau. Right about di ke invest. Lat kentidia. But in broccoli change, this is information. No broccoli change, that's completely different. It has to do with you. We could do be action can. And funny thing enough, fifth chapter of my book, action. No connection. So me Ramichi Kwen, they are ngaji long about actions. Chunky information, you are not going to be changed. She can be a changed person. And few actually take action, very few out of 1,000. Okay. 1,000 of people, like they talk. Because talking is easy. Okay. So like jamke, do I can man, and then it's difficult for them to take action. That's exactly what is happening. But Ranchi, Bible and Bible itself, ku jumna na den oran mu chocolate kulok. Eh, kaya chang kwana chakam. Mi chocolate kulok, chang miat chakam. Like it goes to extremes and like this. Okay. Tell a book, tell academy boom shurajeno. Academy boom shuraje me ran log lat chimit. Kana rajeno. Kitch Bible to get that level. And then you are now attacking Bible. Bible logo na Bible na that's so crazy. I would have to say. Yeah, I think generally.
And so we're gonna move on. I think before we move on, the brief comment with the lot. You know, it's amazing. Ko ntame chikori dan chikori ngaja tame, but they will about translate. Just ko you know tanaka like cheta knowledge. Kemi ko lot about translated to action a different thing. Like naga me lat ke damanda na babu ko jogana what is wrong. And tame chikori ngaja what went wrong. Chikori ngaja ngula go. But are we willing or ban action ban take? We mourn chẳng mà quý gì đó mà vast majority care production and like we mourn and could call a take as a human being we mourn. The percentage is very low, like 20% we mourn, here less than 20% can call production at all. The rest are consumers. Mean they can again mere than they can ping bang. They just beneficiary of what quality produce.งี้then quality produce a big let the TDR, let's say a machine, maybe millions and millions of people be take the end gear. Don't I'm care let them one genius, right? And I think that's the reality sometimes. Ta way more. So I mean la lot ke society to go. Ba need in pel society ni kien ten de do lot ba ka put to work ko big an to one ko kien begin will benefit. Men to go kon chứ còn chẳng có gì này đó đã cái là để là mình nghe giờ là để. So I'm gonna move on now. Fourth point. Fourth point yes, con này thì chui along con nữa đấy. Ta có đây chana mình đi right now. Mà nó mẹ chia dân ta thì cái role nữa nó wal. Let's say God in dong ta ran cái run thì quan là đây dân ta đâu whopping. Ngay cái role nữa nó mẹ chana mẹ. But role nữa đấy can't turn no all the time. Ngay giờ qua mi role nữa đấy cho có riêng along. Dân qua về pin này then myself. Ta cả đã point to myself. Cả đã mi chắc thuộc. Ta cái run well I was only 10 less than 10 years old. Có mẹ ta cái run bakel thuộc grade 101 mà. Kan por kan ne luang ke liu ba lene jene yo ba jola cha pu ten ja ko do la ba ko lo ya ke yo ye ka len len ma len an lo ka wan mo ko por mene me che te run well ja kam pura ja jo ka do you know we pur we ka ke de me ja pur ka ka mo la bor dang jok la ka no nga te len contribution len an le te nen run well ka ro dia na chỉ
Wow.
là mới chỉ should continue là nó biết cái đồng bình này mà biết cái gồm này ta cái man plan này bỏ lên cái list rồi bỏ vô bỏ là nó contribute đồ cái gì chẳng a lot more sang nghĩ cái when I was so young cái role nữa mà nan bên cái là cái chăm cái là bên này chỉ là cái đợt mà ta but then mới chỉ thuộc something happen đây nữa đấy mi chỉ nữa đấy giả cái chăn which is Christianity. Can where they contain letter one more. Actually, you didn't get Christian. That ball to we in many and talk on the like New York like a lot of Christmas get in the Alpan labo. Hello, kaken one conte who would you alle Peter Mood we were cool pie right cook on the link and native cocaine la right. Kaken the same Christian people can let can. That theory could allow a muchi bob the may see no ray roll no what happened to cái này when the me cái gì đó rồi tuộc thế nó mấy chỉ ngọc chứ cái về gì cái chứ bầm nó mới xia Christian cái này Bible có thể cái này thì qua cái Bible tức là nó còn cái lẽ cái riêng nào
Take a milai chalka art place and the rock. Jen situation in charodan jok tin konwar. Chukorodan jek and we are being caught between a rock and art places. Allah channel been take a dilemma. To contact two situation ti charodan menjek then. One situation is a hard place. Another situation is a banana rock. Okay, how to reconcile those hard plates and the rock is a problem. One of the problem indeed tell a guide and which animal check how to navigate those two situations. What I mean by this, concern ben rek, a lot take a time, which ben take a mass movement. Can you imagine? Me take a garako, which chinade the chajan which which garako chiki and gorga, kukula ben reaching at a time. Megan one, they can wine can call it barek. Arek bala lamu gua bajak dual gor ke tin bajak te kaiwan bunyi kontre tin milada kaiwan na lalali chi telam per kaja. And by the way, enta taram lali cham gitu ya chapel. But any other time mi jawa kaiwat lalali chi tig mi dit mi kani cham chi detik. To la dol ne bana la do tem chala kaiwat. Tu nyanga gong la tagala that time. Chala lalali chi mi dit.
I remember me piping
So
even in the beginning. Nga ye tu nyanga gong me piping.
Very fun. Yeah, for sure. Mi chakelat katato en rerum dato alam mela tuoke vanity jay karodian o benawarek. So larana goro da kok dia lakon da kok de jabakanam re loy du jinmat de ga wa dan de yan kulo sere ko yan dia ku chi ken ko to pen yo na re go situation mo chabana reality. Chabana reality. The majority of our young people, including ourselves, right correct. If you can remember last time it has been wow. Yeah, Chabana Tamanan. This Chabana real new reality go connecting one. Chikon the alternate break. Okay, Chaban take a very huge urban rural urban migration. To mention how much Chaban talk, a wreck can kon ben favor kare can not favor rek bana completely different culture like ngaji etika mental fitness chi gen qualification of rek I mean etika physical fitness and re chen mubumi other garment to walk di fur di de kang dit di go ku di ka wa yen go ntu nan kan no ke di wo mai okay one mananan di re ku di go kap di wo gu liach do thing gor can physically strength but rek gor na mental strength ke two different thing two completely different thing ramishi rek she let ten la ken di hadak math then let nyitka but even with letting it in the Georgia to send it could task dwell remne okay it could lot ke thukni di lot ke restaurant okay it could di ngot bo ti ka kak jo rek ma tak ke di ho ku di ke yen ala to ra cha ben jek la puch la ci kon ben chup ke mentality mi la ro to jeke ci ke de lo ngulat ke la rama ci na mobilize I really don't know but ben ben lu ni ne to mon no gwar te ke degree bilat ke muktab nyur kom ri ro dena okay so that's exactly what you want so then ci gatu want ci ben gwar but unemployment mi jinu be ji ndama very very high ke gambel I think 50% okay statistic me pa barar okay international law organization that's too much like one in every two young people tell a lot yeah and I think is underrated now no more you the con wo chinari me jagre me very difficult me telet ke chinari me jagre me lokalet te letin de loka lo poi na ke taka degree chan de lot and by the way chan kan ne tin guru de kalat kan letin do la ka young I receive a lot of calls every day. Can one teach you on let decalat. Like there are let kutuk take a degree there are let the benya take a degree there are talgada bunaka take a degree the young pala yonke. Like I receive a call every day and that's the reason I write a book about Kalat and I should push. So that is a rock. Kul reaching be a hard feelings kiji. There am lang no reaching. Di hu pura kak di hu yen kok Okay, di we mai courage. Do ting chaga jagalo ngode chelet ba cha hat ka ne kon. To ichna lu richeng kichna brek. That's how I describe it. Chibere cheng kichiberek. Kuna la tang kamo. So this thing obviously a best way to define poverty or then not chan kaja. A best way to define that one. They really didn't teach up. I think let our auto embrace. So they ka wajek take a cock. Kara get a truk. Okay. Kamichal choose no belet rek but take a stable job, no stable income. Ke belala entrepreneurs. But ka ne kon chabana different. Again, we jini bi ka bunya ti lo kwa mentality mo kwa ban kap ka. Di ejek buny ran to degree ka charo lib tu ka dabona ke tu biskuna. Ko ka nyin ka. Mi jini ti je mu gor di ejek te ga bachelor degree de. Okay, mi jini wi ka artist for example ne tan na ger ka rai ne. Da je ger mong ye ne jo go tan ka master degree. Ka ger ne right. Okay, baro je yo to jen doctor. So, Allah kuwuch koran bin jek between traditional life and modern life, one of the reason mi hanu ngalalat. Another reason mi cha bin jek a culture. Ala culture piece kon ke je panom. Chebana culture mi very different can a culture yak. Okay. Thing of mukwen indama bok ti tat biga European. Especially Eastern Nuer you know lands ama. Ok ti tat. Mijilel were loka regan were kuwa were bintio, and I think we're gonna 150 k 200 sometimes. So kanokoto kungwet mudong pa ito ko gwar ku kala yorpin ku anta men ti ko pan ba ho cha na the log long log yawal hunt ne de rodin mat de ko to de yorpin ko bukat kuen te jo miteleje to mat ba kon gat kamru le tungon tunanan ku ko ko dol at the end dong de long no di jandaro they been try up to 35. So up to 35 to in that case probably machine to up to general come here up to like over the guria. It's become a obligation. It become a burden. Like I come check there and he's asked Kiberman no young edan huna for the next 5 years or next 10 years. Like me matter the long lenina she there a cool muy good will yet come that other gambel by Joey young. But young like can't you see that as a poverty, as a culture itself? Take it to one, we had in a culture. This I take it as an example, because something a topic me I'm passionate about to really study, but the reality. Poverty, and then you can continue with this. Me, Shiranda Wokun and them about Wokun you more check. I mean, Kuna Gol, the more check. Kuna Neru, Kuna check. Bro, Jack Tig, Manang, the age. Ray me. You know, it's too much, my friend. So buka topic itu, not only that, God topic orang, God mandang dia, God can like dap ke ber 3 years. Fugol orang ke you rejagan like you see children of God when kere poverty ke immediately. Okay, ko piada about God ke liability at this time like chicken night no ni jikok, ke night wo ni kwak ke. So tiga God to ke wealthy, you have a burden. So at the end of the day, gorkan yodul gorka gorkan yo biene dul gorka biran gorbo telelan maljek nongo ku mal rit nyal ba da do ken digri de ken tuk digri de ko tuk mo tel lat ngor ko loy ke keji din ganche so kun man to want te na ga to want cha long ke room other part of our culture. I think it contribute to poverty culture, and I think go to revisit and then me jini we ka other factors di jek ni crisis tin jekon andama like thing about refugee crisis Ethiopia andama I think half million refugees kanwar to among this 400,000 to gambel to other hundreds of thousands to benchangul gumus kanwar to Sudan, other refugees. In the refugee camp, the only thing they could do was Rangor, Telamadong. So, got to one, took a new telet. King went to one, took a new telet. So, this kind of mobility, okay, can all the crises still to and including insecurity, some of the reason to the poverty done. Ramade whether along the Metica Sudan, don't take land melade, don't make crisis at work, a lot of Chabanping, Baromat, you can other camp tell Dorian can melade. I think this could also be a reason for poverty. And there can be many different reasons to the poverty, from social science perspective, from natural science perspective, from even the skills, in charge up to education. I think lack of job opportunities and, political instability, we need one lack of support. I think to one, the conquer bell, but this big thing can number one reason I believe in Jakonko Banachan other society.
Ayan. So chet kata je ko la de dio je riu dan dong wan ke everyone and ling da nga ju de la ti ken gwap ken. Wo da ran da ju yor ro de Christianity je again no con problem ke chana me. Da wo ke ran ken e gwe gwa kamen ta niam na chen. One of the starting point ye nga je me no riek, like jock here at we go get we amateur te luni one on ni bilim kuni one thong la ka pork ni siang lo bina pur jock here yo mi na beration ga gwami ya pa ba kel bina be pie wana me alo te dia la to ta ken ten lo whether purna ka me ke purna ke rul ta kwente ten gwan de dial te rate for te mai ga den ten te later ka ta ken ten kwente then all the time many make you Japan is ben more lenta na ben attack jock here. Che take jock here che chu jakabe. Nei dial chi chu wo gre sing taramele la goro sing na jock here. Kala goro dong de kumana gang here de gwada to gwich nei dial to move. Na mo che bere ge chu jakawo quicker. Mấy na bên na wa cái cam này ta na mới cái cam de na then cam de to cam na ka bel chi woni la gor bi ka pura chi na yu cha na tra mele la gor ko gwa fe kon de la por de ga la ka de ga tai ni ka nguni ta me chi jol ka kan chi do ni la loi dor tra mele la gor bo tong ke from zero chi another factor cha ro la then and refugee being a refugee camp ya na ko bana ta dependent mentality mano kwen ge UN chi ko dan chu je chi ma na ko na ta America bo ai je chi abere ke be mo ke yo anga le lo go ba lo wi ja ba lo pu che wo da dan en chu ko lat chi ne di wan chi go da re but qui ko ne re bo go ro kwen qui ko no lo kwen la ba to go re go da lat bi ware bana ta doram kel am mo dong nyen gor ga ti chop ke well ke ga ti chop ke die te am kel me la mi the tu tu wan alo man me chi ko lo ke university yo man men to go Nathan chan de ti ke ne di chui de ti de ye bere be ke chan be ke be dum ne de re kramen rom na cha be long ke cha be long ti en try chan yen dia che yan no so no more cha problem ti che no che this dependency mentality here create chẳng này con này đã có quen rồi thế mày like me right now cô ấy chỉ riêng này just một khuyên nữa bên này rồi thế nên we really don't know how to get out of this because chỉ mà nó con chỉ này cái nghe cho con UN UNHCR mình bên nào biết cái rom this is the point I came up with a good analogy chen mới gọi mới để Africa kia tha là qua cái thi là cái giác cái gì cho qua Africa cho bên là Koang mình tel pin cái này we trying to bên này Koang mình tel pin bên này deal and it's like mình cho có ta lấy UN cái bên này có bên luang how we gonna be able to do that it's like so era me dependent mentality me thế này cái gì cái gì nó bàn lên này cái đồ all the time cho nó bên luang á giờ nó cũng nuôi cái là đi cái quen mình liền mà là thế là gọc this is a saying because đồ mình giờ cái ra điện chỉ mình be satisfied okay another thing is to gwar pick all what mo lot gwar mo gwar we jirante degree chi certificate chi nga point will but quick on gwar or be skill be well learn okay skill ma mi shi land bi ko lo lot ka practice a ja lot ko na mo shi bo te ke degree ke ba tur ke kum ke ngu that is not ala gore any skill go mo bla do she we ja me cha ja ka tyak lo men go le ne de te go dup to go le je ge ja ta ngwa me de le mo go ro wi ke university la to ne kla go no bi jina carpenter ramen le ne te to ne la te ni ke chan ke len me ne mi bi la te bi la run ngwan bro to mo ge business me la ro te ke je a kara be ba yu to ko ngi de ne ke chan am so ci kon lo duel gore you gonna quit your duel gore ci lo no ci kon ma mai kere ci lo no ci kon ok bi yen ci lo no ci kon le dia de let kon ge ci kon ga balat do duel gore kam na kon wo knowledge me ke la let kon me they quantify they study ka de lat ka dup te efficient dup te tak je mula pur me dan ke pur ta di pur ga torbil mila me dan ka deb mila yor ne yer dong di la ta ke bot ke di ta ka deb mila rate wan la ka kap so jena no gore na mo gore be nu re be ne sko be di ngak di ga lat ke je ci kon gore ci kon lo de kwi enyo bo skill te ta kon ka village ke re chin kan kon ga be translate bo kon ga ja ko bi ke be match re be je ne kon ta where a chicken you can understand. Link and all corrodi and then what call on away, mina quen go on it. Medan don't know, make you work chalk all will never come tea or potential pot, chow young Mabana. I think that control got it, you know, Yana Shiana. Either chung na ga queen the low queen the lat no queen mich ben lo gwa wo be chung okay ke te tu ngi ben sia peng ran ko be yang be dot lo ji ta me chware ke je tel ware bro ko ya nuer be dan cha yang jan
Yeah.
nek ba nak je ga queen ke te ga tu ngi ben ke mi chi bot se di long ba yang ba ber ba cham na riem ne cha pon yang ja nyot ko nga je yang mo economy a business but up ka day to but the other tar ba cha get tin but ta go ko ke ne be chứ còn là liền cái vô nữa mà alo mi chara an jo ta me bi ja cái jen die jen die ko ro die ne ken bi ja ka to how could you do that jen die but I kan mi chen le ja cái jen da ro ko ro die ma jen da ro da ken da le ngok jen da ro ka pai te len ka je like okay ma do mi ne doi be jen da ro mi che loi ka wa ro ka pa wa ro be jen no di no doi ma do go so it's like chứ còn you understand because you cho all có cái you chắc là thua là bữa này bị chui you cái bà bắp that's exactly what we call them the con cho là cái you cái đó là bây giờ thua với cái bắp chứ còn cái understand but it's all about value whether thành cái gì nữa cắt được khu cái gì cái you rồi kia cái quan trọng này it's all about value the skill thì con đây chứ con cái lên cái village mua là lên cái này mấy đàn này chẳng như thành cái gì cái này ba ka kare mela ka kar ke je bana te lia chi on no ka ne me lia ne ko ke no re ja dan mi cha nu ke je de why yo de je da ba la kut mu no ba cham ke long ka period bel me dan bo chi ba ka kan ba pe ka trai ne to kon ke ba ka tool bo ka la mu do dien go la it's just about you translating it into different thing lo bi lo ke to ko ken ah to go ra lo bi yo kon ha but no to ti cha ngai for thousands of years of one don no kon the kon queen yo ba na translated it. So take a factors that one, teaching Nuere, Chiga Jaku, big issue today, of course, instability and then corner failure, the politics and then corner, go out quantity in your politics, she can call we literally become crippled, a reason at one. The tea, point to go, dark on the lot for hours and hours, but you, the tea can go addressing. None get longer Christianity. Who can affect no condia, whether a gin Christian, case a gin Christian. Could go condia, look, Christian go can look, go native Christian go can look. All of us, we need help. We would uncle or belly, gin lari at them. The way, yeah, reaching out to compel it down with Jen is like, hey, and targeting point of myself, go and look, sure belly, Jan lari go. Yeah. I didn't comment it to
I think to go Panom, Allah connecting this poverty and to conjugate with Christianity. I think a misplaced, misguided policies. Go, you know, lot ko chilar me be kana me la policy like kwa kam garar ke japo me true. the policy they come out, and one of the policy me Christianity no channel at talk musha fellow. It could be a policy recommendation, right? But no more something me talking hatred keje any problem me deal me talk in the future. Like I talk right now, like talk hatred. Okay. I mean, take right me call it chunkel, which is also very true. Me talk about ke used by nak ke elocus ke German. Kwantung ne je use te kene te nung problem no kon dia. Wan mi shigu tin ken kono te ko problem ke. So then problem no ken te ke horde ko ena society te ke problem ni la te ne bertam. So then to akolar be ke use te ke la konti. Then to Allah vinat chugu te ne ke minister of propaganda. Me lade go the propaganda ne create against Jews. Okay, TJ pa ke Jews. About ke Jews. Chan ke Jews. Then at the end of the day, so go to work. Allow me to work and not use a kuma. Man, society work because you can go to take a parasite. You got on kuma. Then, to me, you run use the bando, be kuma yoga be an amiagua. Kogi, so all you pitch. Chala Lloyd, you pigeon no problem. What other we take a problem? So then be for a kumba on no more agent ha nan and the hatred to and Christianity, Janung Rico, te dolkel me chak right. So can Christian look and go. Like tell a Christian with a degree. Tell a Christian with a degree, you go talk no walk and tat and long matodana, matatin. Take degree India, you many degree and well quent, what degree in Jandaro quent. Can you see la rationality la jawo la ngai ngon man taran en nyir la jawo like bran nan ka level mi chi reality Christian ni chicken gor Christian ni ke liz ni chicken let okay ana la re changa gambel men ni la ruitin Christian okay so then what does this mean they are in politics entrepreneurs kalet okay kaka white collar job can need to universities can need to NGOs and all this so me we ka western society and but we can't take a commercial civilization we about to ka western society like Europe and the US and Australia can put center like talk with Christian values talk with Christian values okay and we not commercial is left read by watch a Christian to ka movement no slave trade ma jaga okay and we na let in be western world mo kule ka fenten ka Christian we we the world biggest and the universities tin kuna la no sanya ko ra ke jenta me ta ni gwana jen kuna ren mala ke sanya we don't need Harvard University in kon a Christian school talk a Christian school okay we work in Europe we work in US. Where did we go wrong at the society like charity taking it? Okay. 86% of Nobel Prize, the human Nobel Peace Prize, because that's the most political. Nobel Prize. A lot Nathan boom boom in Benjamin to do the long last sign. 86% of them Christian Jews. 86%. And those are the people of work, the people of Bible. We Islam did along with Guru Christianity. DJ quite long like around 0 point something percent. 86%. People of book tin chat to gold chocolate. Scientists to one woman can an ideal tin innovation and it can Christian. So you talk about hey Christian you can home for to and all this is something stupidity I believe. I like to judge. I really don't care. Go now the killing dormi to talk around, and it has to be eradicated.
And I think it's very dangerous along an idea can Michiraro the leadership position, me take a power at all point. I think that would be a bit of a danger. And then kuala on a witch a bit. Come one a bit, huh? Chala then, Chawa when mala talk how dictatorship come up, mala dictator like a bugger power, which is sense needed like a sense needed like a one a bit. When the senseful people chick a bit, the dictators come, bigger than in power because chick a dual. And I think this is the reality. Kakon we con and tamelo matod is not a big deal, but kaj mich alat for a long time it become the truth in la linke. And I think that's why chabi ignore. And that's the purpose of this page actually. Going forward, yeah, don't want to can be a link. We want to educate people who big a talk because I feeling. Thank you for that point. Go to become topic down because another point. We got a few yeah. Another thing go to bara kuide ke benetla Bible kala tela Joyce Jung na yang ni media. Kwana kel kwana ja ladbe. Tawa bume wo da ramariang yang wara chen kwara ko tang no da torol chul kawang liberoka. Tawa yo wajen tuk jeng dial ka goren ngarang tangin yu pen jore ngada dien. Achiran kwan daro da ledeka bekel nok kamdo den be nyer. Chiran kop kana yang da ledeka. I try all year on knock him out in the rewa. They didn't knock an old me. Chin the guard la put the radiant. Me cheer Bible, cherry gaga carrying a kid look around. That con passing the that con understand a go adi. Kakan tin chalati.
Etin mo gua ya ci Bible go ci ka kamrar ke quick nene tin la Bible dia lim jar, and I would appreciate liam kon miti ke ben ko kin ku yen ke watch ko da na let watch ko da ran te yang wi mona me la de comment section ko ba ka tam je go ba ko yo kel but ken ben ci ta mention te one of them bu metet de rammer yang da wore quarkos ya menan mala lar ken ma kan ken lat ken dial kel te go context is very important. Context is really very important. Muk en book mu ko ni wi mona me lam no context en benomatin lam no jaling ko mi ku ben kebne ponya makarade not knowing the context bu bat. Okay, so context right to tin kel ban kemen guchi ban ko ngajo la ku muka. So first contact of what and larko bu mete da ram yang rang ore ko e wut mete ko tumon mi ben ga yechu ya ben anga ke la ro de nan gar mo go to chongot kebne mi ko am like a perfect guy and all this cha ju well cho cô tiền cũng để là đó cho kém ngọt bờ gò cái gì nó không phải là đến thăm cho kém nó vào lên mệt là cầm good ngọt đằng vào cho chú khuyến chú tụm chú chắc cái linh nó vào cái cho kém okay, and then cháu giờ cái mít cho có thế là chú có gò thế mình bị lắc của mong cọt vậy kém yêu kiện kém này thì chẳng bự cú ra dân gia loài đàng hoàng rồi cô bảo là cô giết cho cô gió là nè này bố mẹ cho đỡ ram rang rang đeo rồi qua rồi cô lấy chắc nó de de torol de chos kawang libroka chi libe malalat ke kwaden be rajamaten te ke gos de la torol ja pe na we ke te la yan ke ni at tam te chi torol cha de chos ke yen kwa le nyo chi libe manda but this aside ngun lot ke yo ku chi ram reng reng cha de re kwa ko ken yam ne ten ta kwan mandan te abram te re dien me melkos me bu re kwa ko ti David tin miriam mi bore kwarokot ti Joseph tin mi bore kwarokot ti Job Iyop ti tin mi bore kwarokot kene tu ngon ko kin re Bible ka ti riang ti leni ngara pai raj malar ke je ti bore kwarokot ti Bible mek very clear le obiga wa kwarokot kene ti ne to so ngu bagara min tingila wodo eje ko belet ti biye chu bin tingel ni awat jane alap yechu me te wi mon ngeje lois na to kut ngeje lois na la ngeje ra me ngote lois de ngeje ni go gara me che riang che prioritize re te kede ala ku je na riang e jala cause de okay which goes together with rajan la du chiran kwarda ro chika de la deke chijen ala ku je yang ko de mi chirang che jien and by the way reality we mon jaten ne ti ne kon jolo buinte la ne de lo ala ti ran rang de men jien be bi ko ne nan ton ba x ke je te ne la ram mo ne ke chut ka rodien mach wi kon wanga matar dom kene wut lo wu na ma te ke wut kel mi chi wona ma la to lo goro be liu kel ke kwak ke tin wang do jana ci tik de je ko ci yo ko ci wang do like that's too much no man you the your life you connect ke kwak to kwak to mi ci ke je ni jay jogo lele ke tup kam ne ke chan ci de no ki me kan gar me no ne ne rek den dama ala ye ci wona no jira ma reng mo ye that specific contact chu reng du chu le la cause du chu le la master ko master la jana ka kwide bodo ga ni la kwara gang la kona liuna ken ko gang ken their masters chirana gorba master ba nak rantik da tupo their master to milladi rangka bitu bitu ko rangka you see because I have friend yeah tiliu ko kwilat iko ke yo to chirana gorda la da kapchon e chang liu la te garkel mala nam na dolwal ke banawat ci wide ja tok che guru felalat la ya jiw dol wal biliw mu keni lat bi fel wala no la de la wot ka kende pel fang no be anak kamu biliw la blo jana that's something they don't have again ku ko la on ke je jin you don't have to prioritize your wills chit ka gara lar ke karach and I think lu jo chiran ko da ro de la ke na ma wa da lar ko chiran ko da ro de di ko ke prioritize kenya man di ti di prioritize ko te du kwerte ka du then ka te du nga kot ko te ram te tik de kro te ram te kro ada ci pola lat te kon ko kot liu kon ko kot so then it tells you immediately ram la kwerte ka du kot to ko kwerte ka du kot jaram di liu kwide jaram di pa rata ci ma ryang de kon ci ke wudi ci ali yi yop te ka kwak diala te bad me ci ga rear kana ko ci ke me wan ka je ne te pallu yo kan ryang ci ke chegde kon ko kan kot che logo ko kot ala jantan expectation kot ka kono na mo jan dab ke jin jin other individual mitel kok da ko jen ke bin pan ni kon ta kon da ke da ko kon ba in that case chang chik le yar ken yon kon chik to chan bo it's not your life okay it's not your life and by the way they kon tiem example me ku kon what was important thing kakon at the time what was important thing for me I remember me jagala very important me gwar jalo tin jali juzum to kon jagalo ko garek chen the important thing me ke be ni chakalat la dol ko ra look ko ke chala ben ke you know something very unique okay me la ra la ke jam en met okay that was important thing ke and time who ke be ni important thing e ber man la ko ke bi and that ci mana chala du mana jagatet there is something very important nyok chente marami ci break dong de ko very important thing o chala tege degree changa tege degree be je important thing o chala tege master ni je bo important thing o chala tege phd rami ci le fire ne career dong de to la assistant be je important thing o chala officer chala coordinator chala wo yen la Allah you have Allah human wants chicken good we go okay so sometimes man damane la wudi na nyon bran liu ke nyon wech ke bran te ke mental health te go magoro mu dit me kana jek do wiro ko nak be liu ke je ke be yong ke je okay but the funny thing mi che jek no mo in the next 10 years be o jek ke gula important kam ko nak mi che gula important ne okay Allah kwa ko le ngi je ne chwa chwa je nok kana ngwan dial ten rede ko mi bin nang no wa cha ko ba ku te re te ka du kin no ko ba che ba te re du ko wanda mi chi wi la to ngona ta la tu te mi chi do je ko be jien betel jen ku pel pel mi chala to lo mon la ro ngun mani je chu I think ye chu wa ngudi je ko mi jo ma ke le chu ko dundu na mo philosophy mi jene lengi o ma ke le mi jo ko dundu la ta ji je on ta Panom today o ma ke le we dundu like what does this does to you do okay le da dundu di enjoy for in the next 2 months ka ko di u je lo nyon wi du ba la tek mo do dien mi le gor di lo le lo gor mar chu chet ke uri chal Elon Musk di lo we mon le je gor ba lo chen nan yal you see human very unpredictable la man gor che tuk okay to jen ko le jogo no chu oh me chu la lo chu te ke laugh la laugh ha go take a deep affection toward something like no ki knock mi je de tel de liu de jinak ta gor da to ko jino mo chelo no je ke nyu you have to like them right but you don't have to love them kwa je ka go di love ni shegu can di love no kosdo kide love ni yo and again it goes also together with the chala no yo ke root evils can we money are evil the root of it
Yeah.
and my philosophy for this is very simple anyway like in me jira me evil rail why do me yo shige be hib like be evil acts back ban amplify like me jira me charan ti charan odi na nak charan odi mandi ke dum charan di na manipulate loken tin chari changa chite yo biga pentin ngoro the root of them and them cha yo okay to ke yo jak to ko biga fenten do chelano yo je ka panken baram jek la chara ne ti jek mi yo shi tin bukula ne ti jek and by the way and jek a me a mititin as a young rana like that we can demo chele jek along runde go kono go okay but let me tell you o jek ne bana rare ka kiden ne dang wan ko rodin ram kel chu kwan nat like that's too much ne dang wan ram kel ka ke chu kwan nat one of three like I think 33% of people can murder and time 33 people make a murder they can live they can two con deal ko yen dang wan yen menu kun dang wan ram kel de kwa murder to mi jini wi jo wi ke tiang ne na di ro je gram na ko ne dial to 33% kanang nat chit ko mi pai barare ka ki den mi jini jelle ke tiang tie ke jo ke tiang ni den na ma de ye ko gar kel tin me nang nat kan men gua no kor mi na de o dia na wala man wala so kuyo kukala one of the thing to kula root of that evil chalono ke evil ke tuli for me jak chit ke mi chang yen gor kon yen na da tool for me jak mi jira mi la char ti jak no wal ke chi gora goa e chi ten nyet di use la mi jak chen da chi gora do wal mi fel landu ne o bina da nag di randa mo ken normal sa line mi chi mo ko wel ma nag ai bi dan di chu de real ka da liu da la du na mo and I believe in them na tin le na mo te la na na ti to medical deck medicine
te chia ka pai ga te jan dio ga baro ja ga nak la potassium la ja la da ji sai la na ba kam na then nak cha ga te jan dio ba da ke jan dio baro ya na ga ja
you see that's reality now do kon la ni ngor point de cha root of evil but lo no ngor point de evil okay chow use and 18 use la evil this is how things work to can bible to I believe context is very important mi ran wo ko ene ja they just take a context chala no yo jeka chala no rang jeka chi o chram rang je dore ko har ka bum ni jen chalo no jeka by the way, boom in this way. Me ran jang che ken yam ka kana ko kana je jen ko den la ko ya ga ten ko la je ga nyin ka tingo je ka because of my money and then because of my wealth. So why do I need to even pray to God, to worship God? So me jine ne rami mi chuch ke te struggle ka man la chang tok da chang kut chukut ya but chukut ya jako ta ka me cha chup chukut ya jako pol point da but mi ran te yam awe na bala lo kut ko la je ke everything tin je ga te ke je you see that so ramit ke wells pitch boom do no mi chukut ya je la te ke wells and God all together. And I think banokut kon let a lodge ni chiang no one kon chagalep nen kon those realities ngai kon we mon kwa chicken to di tagaram kedino kudre te do ko jin ramabo ko kut kulo wo kut birang du bodot ko kor mi chilu to chikut chi bu impress garang mi mitil after your death. I think it's very important no ban ne kon ban ke spiritual life aran ki pel ko chete economic freedoms.
Tí đàn mà chia lối nước ở qua thì nó kể liều để mà nó brief comment nó trò long then like mấy cái yêu mình cho là Solomon chế thế đi al jagon hello Solomon đáp giờ đây riêng hay là king à mi thế làm là famous đây Israel ta làm phải cái gì mi riêng lấy nhà na cái riêng cho qua cái là mình on về cái đi al go lối đấy cái tại lối mình on về chùa qua let a part in ideal it just making himself happy. Many major jala ngong na ma I think that's enough. And then chawa a young lala man on bear lala moiga kong or liang a kong can attend the alabia make feel better. Chela jegbo chala luanga chen belong about to chawa man lala on so me go to man chitolomon belen take a man to keep. So just Solomon chia belen chick Solomon lo ja. Chala chia kel mo go ai lo jeg radiant jalo tel lo chen go lo jeg. Mấy chắc cái điều của anh chắc vậy mình chắc vấn đề cái rồi mình gọi we mon chỉ có cái cầm lát mà go rồi bị enjoy cho chắc cái point lát mình chịu lấy đi cái giờ mình let thế rồi đấy lát thế là gạt cái thế là ngà cho lại thì giờ ngà bị bán quạt rồi believe chắc có ok nè mẹ dân tộc rồi chắc vậy luôn nó có cái tiền lừa cái cô nè mẹ cái giờ lát này nè đi cô cái chắc cái giọt bữa cô đến lúc này lên đi của đi là con nên chỉ là đó quay về mình gọi cái mình giờ alo thadi ala ti te ken ten cha go ala ka la test to on ko na ka ke be chit na je ga te to go no point yang ka ro ade la ka yang ma la kana on be ken je ka dub dia it doesn't matter chang mo ke ne ko ke ria ka je ko pon ga re sugar mom ni te me dia la de ne tin te ga africa tin go ko i ba chol menti ti te we je me ti ni ke na ke chira ne share wo mu le de ka family me na den mentity number one you have to think can take an issue man can take a god can like in literally la daga no gold dodian god get a content ko la ri no kun tame what do they think because ji chole jin one day ne wo cha re wo ram mi queen ni jen mi la guru ni cha more queen like just go over gold dodian be what that just for the sake of a beri hanga ba you could ji ram ri na mo jen no qua la de chen ga no la wa nga ga point chen okay point chen ra mi chi care ko di men la de anga ba factor riang ada de ye gor ko do dia la yen issue ko bible la address ke cha ngun te dai bible la ngun welen ta we aloy do chidit e dung ra ma thie ke ji check de lat ke o ke ene do ma la do de wa chu je gor ko loy che lat ke liu mi che yang che ja kan number 1 you are ready will be great evil we commit we mon me ban mi ko we ja kan number 1 vì thế đi ăn trên gỗ trên go rồi biết cái bên cái gì mà nó point riêng á mà qua để về chết đối đối với mình là number one and I think that's the whole context of the Bible you're gonna now try riêng try để cái number one để thế cái đun riêng has to be number two number three number four cái cái number two nó đã check được I actually work cho let cái này thì đồng thì like people that are elderly for so long vậy chỉ khi chúa bây giờ cái tăng kiến chỉ làm thuộc cái lần mới đi dân ghê này nhà thì cái PhD dân millionaire và đó bây giờ đồng cái là để cái này làm mấy chân mấy khi ở dưới cái the most important này thế cái là bây giờ cái đó khi xem đó cái yêu của cái là được yeah đó cái điều quan trọng là spend cái tiền mới đàn but that is the most important thing a family đó cái value nó trên của value chứ cái bây giờ cái celebrity này là celebrity mới đi là ra này ngay giờ we muốn cái liệu mình liên cái chơi suicide commit cho rồi nó cái rồi các bây giờ nó thì còn thì trên thế giới guru cái dân wanna be you ji chen go go I don't want those go to chi take that by now I don't even know and anymore so I can warn in the come bible kana go me we go ban at the team a good neriang for the sake of go rariang I see a good man la de ko bna big look at ya bina no yang medi da jin ram kel ka ten bi wa and la point ne I then comment there to no go to be con waka final point topic done did and I think part of it we're gonna leave for another day. Men jog dien mutually prosperity gospel. Wale nen kon ne di chwal ko rodi de gu chwal ko rodi de nge to kwa mutual prosperity gospel kia tu grianga to go kwa ka nge. Ni jana wo mi jin Christian pus di alten go ten go to bigger ben kaje. Betagarang betaga pal point magwa daga siang magwa beta ga to go beger ga Lamborghini ke te beta ga renyal magwa ten di alen go ne dor mi che la re ga tong do betuong ne jen wona jin yam ko che jo ko gur na me but ho ka ji will happen a bai bon ngi je no mi ko kon creation be kon chwa ne yang yang lo no ba ne di al chu len ga yang te che jen che ye chu che ben ga kwi de no jen gospel no mo oi ba ne yang ja
Kwa jata de to ke je na me he topic mi dit ka topic mi ya chara je na je crazy Bible is very clear, especially around within a let or daran ker grun wang in fact de kut laran bo de put no put laram let but when I think of prosperity gospel I think of one of friend chawal lo da ke tiang chawa dhama papal just ku claim no mental to be jo bi jegi jebdo roani tin ji prosperity gospel raya ga la rara mu jom dong yo bi jegi jeb du just ku claim ne tam papal bi yo jegi jeb nu kun to pal mun di dan da rap na te ji kai anga ci yo jegi jeb de to to tin ci lo ben gilla da tam dia kon dia kon honest ini jo te ram ci yo jegi jeb da me telra chit ko dan ngulu ko
yo
to rani
tali ngap yo tali ngap yo de la king fai
to ko tele ko puch and then churan rani jen niam churan ne ko kien to po ni je boy nok la yo gram chinen dorun te ka la nya mene ne chu line describe na chi dora ta ngwa e jin bo chi goro re university yo kwaje mi chale university pa ben da wo jango kwaje ne ya dora ba je ta ngwa la it continues to prophesy things to work magak ka wu ga mere ko kien to know puch and I think prosperity gospel to okay that action like apa le biyo panji jebdu is very dangerous palokut bang bukan beban bang to jen le belen tumna tan dam okay ne to ke ne ti kon kas luek no wal ken nyir christianity di ma ken na ben kon ka criticize ke tin let ken ke and I think you and I were so bold social media no kon and by the way cha right ke kwi de bo na ka bok en chagor ken ne ideal ka nyal ndam Christianity je ke we were trying to also rebuke ne de la tatane so de la ne tin kul fa we ko Christian ndam ngi jana ke prosperity gospel and that ken de fer ken ka dor ci kon we head of them okay ci kon te la no wal ken to ku le fer ken ga dor karam fer jen ga dor be so re bogdamen jogor one of the thing te ne di char bo just win more number chi dundian chi kan del let along win more me chi dundian bigo re korokos lo win more me evil you know chi de let along or ngak tin ram one year and all this. I don't think the Bible teach no. So ne to chaka yoga muchi ran choko way on them ngulel kana passport on where overall nil ran ku ente okay tak we mi guru wenda mi di kurai ko di ku ngai re bar di ka bol di re ko di ngai tin di ku malongot mi tak do mi tak lo ndara non nil ke so you can enjoy up there. So I think ke kaini ke di ala to chi Bible che ngi no. But when it comes to the lado prosper to gospel, Milano Teran to you, the Bible prophesy go Peter, no room to show now we got in the niche to one till lot to go loich kenke. Like Bible literal talk about it. Okay, Nate one, we can long it in go loich kenke. And then we you Nate in prosper to gospel, Lord Lukin, like Nate to thin Tagaquen. Many Ramish, Joel Austin
You're
mene
lost
mene
in.
dan ke US mene dan ke US lo
Yes.
ada mi chuwe ni like
Mm.
too much like la leri chi kana men chi lo ngon chi jan Ramadan ngi ne prosper gospel ko ro de la je nga de je be ben ba ke ne ton tam bor ko to ke je ne ka Africa ne la leri chi Nigeria ko ro te den je ben chum na ka Africa andong and then je ben chum na ro Nuer okay to ci na duo ka lebel mun gor na ne ja gor kana duel wal ka ne tin ja wudien ja ga brain watch like gor kan psychiatric tu ngon dara na ngijime dara treat for like 6 months they we dan kul linga ka line ya ta ci wa something me la duel wala no mo ci bible ci ngi no but bible ci rach head of time no banaz ben tukku ngiya kain ku galat and then begin ne to one bukan go buzjor mutu ke long janan to na ma jani de one chago buzjor ngiya kain to gwach ke real gospel ala prosperity gospel from the definition chi the gospel and latke gospel anu good news about yeshu la yeshu me je bana good news kon bende choide liade ke je de list the good news ki humanity cho kon ben connect ko kut e nyok. That's the real gospel ka Bible. Which New Testament chinen to let you podcast along about our spiritual relationship with our Heavenly Father. Okay. But you imagine we can reality. Yes, you point there. I believe we take 33 years we mourn. Let more than 20 years. La work real work like a carpenter. Be like a got carpenter. Be like a carpenter. Ka mark. La real carpenter. So Canaban bebe nyurba runte kene minister de tok joray ko midi amin chalan midi chala dorman kana gon che komne de na nyuru kala ka kwaje al ganete na nyuru kala ka kwaje diga yotin ke kana gon joray ko chobala don live for 3 years 3 years ke chokulu like I work mi jinu yo fall a chang ne metin nam midit mi cherit re Europe ke lew chang ne metete la jala ka makana de mu we ka those Asian country ya te ke ya te jan nai dun wana long che ritin ne te yo ba by the way ka te to wen chan gur bian bia barden ka ne to chan gur bian wa barden ka ba jal ke lada la jala ka makana de ka te ke chuang ko da na yo ga enta ko la rai ko la ni rai ko be amias but you don't need that okay be makana de be rom be ni tin jirat ke jiken ba ko bro jig yo mi che yo che jek bro ko be o mi hech be mit ke ken yo to like apostle by the way she just a normal pastor apostle which in a read continent okay Asia and Europe he's not just a preacher country kel like that's too much but jala kama Canada ku lad we jalat jara mala raji ran melo galat hey ke chwar je much mugur ko na wanda hey anta mi chu re kot just ku claim ne ja ta ko pol point ne te ke jwe ko rundo ngwan ajani cha kono long ti ko la ko de jo ke ko jana point ne go la jo ne ja ta tinin bi mo ko jen ku la bom do you see ram shir ke for
Yeah.
so I think ban we mon ban je embrace kan chanke dial hardship ne to be we mon to be ke lam and we are part of it ken kono wo chengum go ban ke embrace bana lat mu bumbum bana jalat that is something which Allah kon literally ko to no be jalat de ma yechu je ben kan wo lam dur ke medan ako we re dun dem ci abela let kan lat okay so ci lam dur ke jatin mu le da bana let be le dan be fan ko kon mu te kon ke jos ci lo no ci kut kon bu lok na lok bat ci jend gospel le ko na lok ko te chang me kan yechu no benene la na la ka ja ka go to ang aram te ka dof bot mi china de cheng je wiki ja kel to mi ci ben kuram jal kel kan ko la bana palo kidu be dobo be jien okay mi kon do ba ma daka che ke ci wut mi chali le ja ben ku de jen kon ma tor na cho ben mod fala cho kon mi dit chalo no ci ko kon du che dere but ci jen the meaning of gospel we chana jien dura chana wo ko chana ma ka je nyok spiritual bu kon go changira li wi mona won mara kana ko that's the literal meaning of the gospel like that one go ro jenan ba ngej but again the real gospel come with the benefits okay men ku de bla we tieda chu benefit no ko tu per which tieda chu goy ko tu per which ko ti ko goy re ko ko ti ko goy that's not something bagak you know chi jen the meaning of gospel wo bana wore ko bana maro ko nyok la gwandan ba kon nyoko nok dore chung me yo kon yen kude ke den to bana mar ke yesu bana wore ko after this life ke we mon badak bana nyoko jech I think that's the meaning of gospel yeah the ramraj ke the gospel I believe because in bikalamat but that's literally what I can just say about it.
Che lu dia nang wan che galat jam jan wala te video ja record recently cha ko la can go dia la ti den nge ke prosperity gospel cha wa can go che ten ka re christian te just ba ba nyon na actually be a lot of can go kun yen jirar we don't want them lawyer job because that's what they used to do. Can go Nuer they con me can the la con a mo del ke be mo young go do ko la. So chica ben re Christianity and basically chica be jang the market me did be ko kan ngok kan chi o te mi chro ge. Ti wan jang no mo ro da mo ke be ni ke pa roma ma ro ko la pe le na ke jene jang ye pe. So Bible tell us very clearly, you know. Bible la ji da ji ngi ka do ma di yang di je ka ja ban mi yang we your use of right ko be wa kok be ko la ja ka do ma yang je that's gonna be a problem ko go je no ban je nok more than you chang ni men cha la do da ko yang da ko na je go je no ban yang ga yo jen men yam chi oi ban yang je te ga ja ye shu liu den wan ta jo bi ga kwa ken ban pin for that reason wo chi no ko te ba go ko no kwa ka ko right ya ta na diar ka ngade mai ju lot ka men chan ke je ke chu je ke je u te le jinga no mi ti ngam na to di yang ta me che men ta kwal pe le ne dial kwal do ne dio dial ka me ja la ka private jet ne ke chu members ne lo ade so a terrible thing and I believe it where I'm at the Christian and the Rodian Matpan unanimously would they condemn a topic me guru de lat clearly Nate in ye get can tea they got condemn of course you kuma ga condemn that a kuma da ga me jogi shiala la di na shiala the Christian at a long point they got discouraged they're not you know me che je na she me go but she did it ta ma ga ke je go kind of tea take and then one we can even joke to the abiga wa go ka ji chicken even la right ke kwidura ko when you teach people ke kwidura they have a need now for a savior mo ko la real gospel because gospel to go go yo mo we ga la do ken all you need to do because la do bituong no ko ke and chicken ko them go their whole life. So a worry by religion, but by judge by look a qui not the thought, one not the thought, you can nay tea, by you ever be an air kun malat can a man, a little can a man in it. It's like, no. Chia block of king of course, here, but jacket, if I see a kid, just said, do see a kid and a tea. The ticket a yark is your religion, the Bible color clearly. Philippi, Paul, Joanna, wow, for the Gideon. Like they just think their God is on their own belly. Child can jay can with Jere chamo. Iliak din po din. Chiri charaki la kenyan way mon. Kalim kon shin nal. Child nu itala change me that on we mon. But keke they literally thinking about their belly. Chara and jide. Chiran charu idene ko kena de ga loga di. Si Peter ya warning ni jaga top tera mi Peter lat ka Peter ra da shoka era ka bad dio kata bine ti bi ke nyen kun pel ke je a jene ken ngi kind of ti ke dilo ni ken ba nyen kun pel ke wa ne kind ka lu ge cha lar ga kwi dia no wal kana pel ka de dia na wa ken ni we je lar wa to go all the nice thing to go liang dien go bi ke kwa ku bi ken ka pel a chi ji ti ne me te ne ka pe ke wal ba te me ya la de go go cha le mai ka mi ka sio ka dio ka ba well kel te rai cha lar ten wan me jene jene lat buộc ke look a cook cái nghi buộc pa lại để nào to cook cái lát go ni nyu ni cái yêu cái là là cái way top of scale cái như thế riêng bên cái này so all they tell you mỗi ngày cái yêu mỗi ngày we know mỗi cái yêu thế là riêng một tuổi cái gì sang riêng cái you're gonna be just fine chỉ Giêsu chỉ Pharisee chắc cái quen với chắc cái là right nhớ là yên là what door man John này bia pala to barbar bia ko quen pin just because be ko lo mo yo e shek jo kana mo mà chiều cái yên địa cái gì all you care about will be you be cái mũi bia ko je cái gì che mi chala dwan me jene ne ga cái cái Matthew 23 verse 14 yen ji gor cái này yen ji Pharisee cái yen ji mede jene ma je dul man John ni kala dun kalang to barbar ka chap nyu ka ku mo bi yen ko den dini jen be je ki wa ke je severe condemnation ki ko den dini jen ji ye chu kam na cha kam ne je nei tin yar ke chu ko bi ko wa ke je ko ka jen beren chu ko la le che ba pele ka je wa ra me chol chu da bang ba dwe je chen ba pele ka ram mo ko me chol chu ko bang ke ka duo ka je ye ma kwa la de ken go ti dwe jen dini jen be ben ke ji ram me che jen. So chị con chụp cái then final question is con a lot. Thank you very much because she taught me share that like but take a one me go there but right ke the next time because right ke tan there are young there and je ke japan ke do mo go and that have to wait for another topic. So I can call and the thing is you me take a last comment that they make a can con interview done again.
Yeah, I think chỉ con rau to go chỉ con cái discuss qua cái summarize là rau or chỉ con ra chỉ ngon nó dia đến cha đến linh jack and has about Christianity and about Bible cái chỉ con ra chỉ about problems tin nong riek doran con này tin at to rau to chara ya kan tame in one way or another but I believe we also need to talk about Michi con riek chỉ con identify ko problem no one is something everyone feels and then it's easy to talk about it but how can we come out of it? This is I think something cool a lot of discuss connect the opportunity they can both about it and them they really and they color one of the things go but prioritize the necon or another callet let go then like let me go literal jawatin bi jek okay so man pen alat ndam riu de lunga puch chi telian ko definition of water and lada kon dia guchi kiran ba gru non ken ogwalat but definition of water and lat ojin ti ka ngech midi lalat ke jatin ngech ti can look lat lo lat me ben tam nogi di lat lo nog lat, and then finally ti gor kade, like you are actively looking for job, like ti ba ko run wang gori je ti gori jo bang ti ga ngai de ti ngai ni bang nogi di lat. Baran tam nei tung wan chicken ti can look lat do ko na larno ran gu jenda me leri je ko en je bare jin reality de ko ndam me muraje yon ndam chala bana gambel area antaten gor fi poka ke chien ko ade area mete ne ko ken ngwan te ken tin gor ken fi poka to ba fi poka ba ken no gor mul mede fi poka de no ba ta ram no nga ta ko no area je til fi for the last 3 days chi jen area ma ko ade area jen gambel ke le chi no ma chi jago to mi tige mulu ndama ko pi yamono ke mole ndama like di pi gudi go jom gwan mo go di ke nang dor ke mul de kok le ko ni chi ke tele rek la mo okay tele rek la tung ka ten ke di le ke tuk na fula we gor ken yo we gor ken ngade ke no do la to la ma toron te ji chi de tel del di ko kan ndama ke yang di ma to di to ke le ke ja lak let ka ten bat toy na jen kula go jen ndama ne dwan la jen ka gambel bu ko gwan shi ka to sa ko gwan ma dara no le ten tele no hare to gje but the tem ko to ka ten gambel to lo ga jal re 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 university trong wan cha kanen do ko mi ti tas ke dul to no hare cha no ko lo but there are matin but belat jek ngo ne go lat bi jak ka ten lak tay de jogi tele lat ka ten dak ne pan ken ken ne la ko par jak lat mi chano ma jatin la gor gane dum wana kebe bukana mal tu ga fet so let katen chan ke del long ke lat pin but let just do the work and another thing kanetin tiguar come and let can let in the goro de yen skill de yen ko prioritize skills to gwar ci tiga degree gwar o tiki skills skill ko ngone ka ngwane tin kulat le jaket yak keken la gor ken telet again the expectation gor ken from the beginning what andol gor ke beben ke do skill kel ken degree de baran tam dol gor ke cha skill cha ngich riuda long ke Ethiopia men jekna do ne tin ngi na riudian ken ken ne ti tok ken that university chiran to ke poin mi di ba ko ja teacher tell a real life experience tell a lot mi cha rar bana ko le ngi ke men ngi ni je na book like theoretical to ramu tel skill ku jiro nge ke theory you just get theory so that basically problem man che china jagan dama to goro chang chi degree di chi tu gwa mul dol gor ka gor skill bi yo nang yes mi jin wi ga di tan ku skill kel jiro computer skill ku jiro gor yo mi gor ni mi chit engineering to gor dong construction engineering goro diro mat ke construction to lat ke in reality a skill namo like they let I mean those skill ka tin pan but gor can yo and then you have to also suffer you have to mobilize money pay for those skill what can check ka to runu kan na kul bana employ kam kanji employ di business da di to okay di business da di to gin di to yo to go ran order ka fire right ken tin di la last word ka kon but to one to back right tin ko ki ko den yen rei bod di de medi thank you.
Thank you very much, Brother Kai Chiloete along. I think this will be very helpful. So, they only Nathan Gwekene will please go on a page Nuer Bible study and then go out and be forum nani Nuer Community for Christ be a host. Guru pay the man nani Kwankai ko la to go to one la let the con society done. Chiloete test go share money and the manager until next time. And bye for now.
Bye.